Hey there, CS210 students. So in this recording, I'm going to walk you through getting GitHub set up, connecting a local project on your machine to an online repository using GitHub. So first thing you're going to do is go to github.com. You're going to go ahead and sign up if you haven't already done so. I would highly encourage you go ahead and use a personal email address for this, so that way if you were to ever lose access, if you're not a SNU student anymore, that you don't lose potential access to this account. So use a personal email address, make sure it's a professional email, and then when you create an account, create it using a professional account name. So it should be pretty straightforward. Go ahead and sign up. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And what GitHub is, it is a version control system uh, to save files. So as you go in here, so I've got a bunch of projects from when I was a graduate student several years ago. And so I have a project on here. I'll just click on one of them. And I can see that this is a JavaScript file. This was a JavaScript project. And I can see all of the code for this particular file. And the real nice thing about using a version control system, and GitHub is one of them, is that I can click on history and I can see all of the changes that were made to this file. All I have to do is I can click on this link right here, and this will show me I deleted things, I added things. So this will show me all the changes and updates that were made to this file. So that has two great things. One is if I were to say, oh my goodness gracious, I messed up putting this code in right here. I need to revert back to the previous state, then I can do that easily using some git commands. Or let's say that my hard drive fails, or I was saving everything on a USB drive and that fails. Well, I have a copy of it saved on our online repository. And then also, this allows multiple team members to work on the same project. So I might have been working in this file, my partner on this project might have been working in it, and the version control system might help us merge in any potential conflicts between our code. So that's a little quick rundown about what we are doing here. So I'm going to go to the repositories link. And so to get up and running using GitHub, I'm going to have you use a tool called SourceTree. So you can do everything from the command line, but I think down the road you might find this a little bit easier. So go to this link and then download either for Windows or Mac based on your machine, and just run the installer as it goes through. Now, hopefully it asks you, do you want to install Git, Mercurial? Go ahead and install the things that it asks for. And if it says to hook up your GitHub or Bitbucket account, go ahead and hook up that GitHub account. Once it's installed, so once it is installed, if it didn't ask you for those things, then I can click on Tools, Options, and again, Mac people, it's going to be just a little bit different, but you should get to this same window, and I'm going to click Authentication, and I can then add in my GitHub account. So you'll click Add, and then click on OAuth Authentication for GitHub, and then go ahead and refresh the authentication token. It will open up a new page, and then you'll have to click on yes, confirm, and whatnot, and then it will eventually redirect you back to this page, this dialog right here. So I have my source tree connected. Next thing I want you to check is I want you to open up a command prompt. Windows people, you can search for it, CMD. Mac people, you're opening up the terminal, and I want you to type git -- version on Windows. On Mac, I want you to type git -v or git -version, one of the two, and it will then again spit out what version of Git it is running. If it doesn't have anything, if it says Git not known, failure, then I want you to go to this web page and download and install Git for your machine. Same thing as SourceTree. Go ahead and just run it, the installer, as it goes through. All right, great. So we have SourceTree installed. We have Git installed. And again, make sure after you install the Git, make sure that it did get installed. Open up a new command prompt and make sure it's all good. Our next task then is to pick the repository locally that we want to put up on our GitHub. So go to your Southern New Hampshire projects and pick the best project that you want to put up there. And so right here, this is the project that I want to put up. This is my project 3 folder. And we're going to go to our GitHub. We're going to click New. And I'm going to call this project 3 or whatever you want to call it. Give it, again, a professional name. You might want to call it Corner Grocery or Corner Grocer App, something of that nature. You can give it a description. Where it says public or private, you want to make it public. Now, down the road, if you have some side projects that you're doing on that you don't want anybody else to have access to, then you make it private. Do not click the add or readme. Don't do that now. And then go ahead and click repository. And so what you should see is something very similar to this, and leave this page open, because what we're going to do is we're going to use these commands right here to create our connections. So I'm going to go back to my command prompt, and we could go ahead and just copy all of these and go and run them. I'm going to go through them one at a time just to explain to you what's going on. But if I do this echo right here, so we actually need to be in our directory, so hang tight. So we want to go to cd, mine is in documents, SNU projects, and then I know it's this Python CPP projects. And so I'm going to do a dir that lists everything in here, and I want to make sure that I am seeing the same files and folders right here. So I see the solution file, there it is, release, I see that as well. So I am in the exact same location. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this line, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to do a control V. Maybe I'm going to right click and paste. I thought I copied it and pasted. And so great, so I've created a README file in there. So if I go back in here, I should see, yep, there's that README file. We're going to do a git init. So it says initialized empty Git repository. So what that did is it's added a folder in here called .git, and if you don't have hidden items enabled on Windows, you can see view hidden items. So this makes it, this is a Git repository, but it's local. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to do this right here. So I'm going to copy this git remote add origin, and we're going to do that. And now what we've done is we've told our Git directory, hey, the online repository is right here. It's my username, and it's called project 3. Now, I don't want to do any of this other stuff because I want you to see how you can do this in SourceTree. So I'm going to go into SourceTree, and I'm going to click on this add button. Again, Mac people, it's going to be a little bit different. You'll be able to find this same thing, and I want to click add. I'm going to browse to my SNU projects, and I want the Python project folder there. So I want to be at the upper root of my Python project, and I can see that it's a Git repository. I have the blue add button enabled. When I click add, I can then see all of the files that I have created for this project. So they're all down here. Now I actually want to go into this file status. I'm going to go in here, and I can see all the files that I've added in here. Okay, so again, you're familiar with a Visual Studio project. There are a couple files here and there that we want to ignore, so we don't want to add them to our repo. So if you see anything that has a .ipch extension, so if I were to try to add this, this is a very large file. We usually typically don't want to put big things, a binary file like an executable, up on the repository. So I'm going to right click this file. I'm going to go to ignore, and then I'm going to ignore all files with this extension. So I don't care about these .ipch files, and we're going to apply that to all repositories. We're going to click OK. So you'll see these two files disappear. Great. I want to find if I have anything with a .db file. So I see this .db file. Again, it's a binary file. It means it's a database. We don't want to add this in there, so I'm going to go ignore, and I'm going to ignore this exact file name. all repos, click OK. Next thing I want you to search for in here is anything that has a .exe extension. So we typically do not save the executable, the compiled version to version control. So we're going to right click this, we're going to ignore, and I'm going to put all files with the extension exe, and that's for all repositories. I click OK. And the last thing I'm definitely going to ignore is this PyCache folder. So right click, ignore, and I'm going to put everything beneath release underscore PyCache. So all repos, I don't care about those files. So the reason I'm doing that is I know that those are files that I do not need at all for a Visual Studio project. All right, great. We have everything that we want. So I'm going to go ahead and click Stage All. And then I see a window down here. I'm going to type in initial commit. And then there's a checkbox that says push the changes immediately. And I'm going to click this commit button. So this is saying, hey, take all these files that I have saved locally and put them up on our online repository. So cross your fingers, we shouldn't see any error message because this is our first time through. I'm going to go to my project 3. I'm going to refresh this window and I should see everything that I just uploaded. So if I go into the release folder, I'm going to see my Python code.py, and I don't have any code in there, but if yours does, then it's going to display right there. In fact, let's go ahead and just put some code in that Python code.py file. So let's go inside. That's in here. So let's edit this. And I'll just create a real simple method, def print, and we'll say print hello world. Great, I can save it. And now if I go back into source tree, go to file status, I can see that I have an unstaged file. And if I click it, I can see that I have updated this file. Green means I've added things to it. In fact, let's go in there and I'm just going to go ahead and add some more stuff to it. Def, calculate, whatever. I'm going to return 5 plus 2, whatever. Great, I'm going to save it. And when I come back over here, it will refresh and I can see that I've added that additional content. So I'm going to go ahead and say add methods to Python file. Great. I'm going to stage them. So that means they've been added to Git, and we're going to click commit. Fantastic. If we go back to our Python code file, hey, look, we're going to see that we added some stuff. Let's say that, oh my goodness, we have a typo in there. So let's go edit that typo. So we're going to call it calculate. So there we go. And maybe we'll even add in some documentation. This method calculates the sum of 5 and 2. Great. And we'll tab that over, save it. And you know what, while I'm at it, I don't like that print method. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. So let's just get rid of it. And so when I come over here, it's showing me, oh, that those have been removed and I have this additional content. So file status, let's go ahead and say updated with comments, whatever we're going to put. I already have a commit to make. Oh, I got to stage it, sorry. And now I can click commit. And so when I go to my repo, I can refresh this and I can see that it has all of my updated information. Maybe I need to, I think I'm okay. All right, so that should get you going, hooking up your current repo online.